Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry channel, and with me tonight, oh God, I don't know, it was so good for so many months and now I just can't do it anymore. With me are Minions 2, SkepTok and DrFunctional.
Hi everybody.
Hey!
Technical excellence.
Yeah.
Do you realize we're outnumbered in chat? Joel McLaughlin, Mike, and well, I guess we're tied in chat today. So
Nice.
We've got as many people in chat as we have on the show, and it's a great way to start the show. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Well, somebody was so busy making thumbnails and fighting with the spreadsheet that he didn't launch the show early enough. You know, it was like 15 minutes before the show when I said, "Oh yeah, we're going to go live." It's like,
no, it was 6 minutes. Not 15. It was 6. I counted. I was making coffee and eating birthday cake.
Yeah, I think in gamer terms they call this a skill issue, right?
Right, exactly.
What it really is just
Skill
I'm too
lag.
much of a damn optimist, right? I always think that everything's just going to sort of work out when I schedule stuff. So it's like, sure, I can do all these things.
Wait, you're an optimist?
Yeah.
He's a cockeyed optimist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Optimist
That
Prime.
I'll believe.
Yeah. I'm the biggest optimist.
Do you know what that reference is? Cockeyed optimist.
It sounds really familiar, but no.
No.
Let's see. It comes from a musical, and that I can almost remember the name of. It's from. I can't remember. Mary Martin sang it, but I can't remember where she sang it.
Cockeyed optimist?
Yeah, cockeyed optimist.
It's a song by Mitzi Gaynor.
South Pacific. It's South Pacific.
Oh,
That's
God.
what it was.
Don't talk about South Pacific. I'm still traumatized by that.
South Pacific, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. No, that's not right.
And the palms are as high as an elephant's eye.
Yeah.
Skep, did I ever tell you? I must have told you this story. I was bartending, putting myself through university, not expect, nobody paid for shit for me. I had to do it all myself. And I was bartending.
And you don't have a chip on your shoulder about it either. That's the amazing.
Well, at least I don't feel like I owe. I mean, it's being sort of self-made is not the worst thing. No, it's not. It's a thing you feel pretty proud about.
It's kind of the best thing.
It's kind of okay, but
kind of the best thing.
There was this older gentleman who used to come in, and he had like this tiny little diamond stud in his nose. So he was, alt for his age, but he was like this really old guy who would just sort of come in a little too well dressed, and he would eat, and all the older ladies would sort of fawn on him. And this real piece of work came in wearing a turban with like a fake jewelry brooch in the middle of it. Like she was something else. And those two sat at the bar and got liquored up, like two old liquored up people. And they were doing things like trying to hide drinks and sneak outside with them. That level of liquored up.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And they sang most of the South Pacific soundtrack while I was trying to do the thing.
Did you have therapy afterwards?
Normally I would have been managing, but the bartender didn't show up, so I had to bartend. So I was stuck behind the bar with these two old drunk people.
Goodness.
It was the suck.
Oh my God.
Because, if they were just young, stupid people, you can just put the smack on them, right? Who cares, right?
Yep.
But, respect your elders, blah, 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 blah. You just can't do too much to them because they're old and they're having fun, and my discomfort didn't matter.
Well, in point of fact, that's kind of a service you provide.
Yeah.
In that job. So yes, there's nothing like a direct service position to the public. You really get a feeling for how different people are one from another. I'll never forget it as a teller in a bank. You meet people and have this, 3 or 4 minutes of, this intimate dive into their life where they trust you with all this financial information, and then they vanish. And they usually tell you a lot about themselves. Each person. I used to think that was fascinating. It's like all these people would line up to talk to me and tell me interesting things while I did these mindless transactions that everybody else thought were really hard. And the other tellers think, wow, my job is really hard. And I'm like, this is like sleepwalking.
Well, when I worked as a tax preparer, there was a couple who were not married yet, but kind of like in the process of doing that. And they were both prison guards at the state prison. And so they had their little stories about prison and working in the prison and massive amounts of overtime. You know, between the two of these people, it's like, Jesus Christ, you guys make a lot of money between the two of you. It was interesting. But you'd run into all kinds of people and you had time to really find out what made them tick. It was an interesting thing to do, but functional. You know how the restaurant business is. You'd frequently have problems because people would have substance issues, and they would regularly have problems. Can you guys hold on for just a moment?
Sure.
Somebody's actually trying to knock on the door, which is something that really shouldn't be happening.
And get him. It's me. It's really me.
Functional. Let me ask you something about the restaurant business. That's something that I just know almost nothing about. How did you get into the restaurant and cooking business? I mean, you know a lot about that stuff. You and Harry both do, but you really seem to know it at a professional level. How did you get started in that?
Oh, it's hilarious, Skep. So a little pre to that was I was making decent money at Rogers Communication. We have two big telecom corporations up here. There's Rogers and there's Bell, and there's no other real option. So these are huge corporations, multinational, multi-provincial, like coast to coast.
Sure.
They own everything. The news media, the entertainment media, the movie theaters, they own everything between the two of them. And so I was working there, advertising, could not stand corporate life. Being the only...
Were you doing like copywriting or what kind of... Or were you
copywriting, layouts...
Media buying or...
No. Doing actual graphic design, creating advertisement plans. So here's the plan for an advertisement, like a print advertisement in a magazine. And they would expand on that, give it to the AV department, who would turn that into like a 30-second commercial.
But so you hated corporate life. Why? What was the thing that got you out of corporate life? What was your...
I was literally the only man in the office.
Okay.
My bosses were female, my coworkers were all female, and one gay guy, which nothing wrong with that, but it just I couldn't handle that sort of the stereotypes are true. Had you thought about going trans? Just to fit in?
As a way to extend the olive branch.
Actually, one day I did come in a yellow sundress, but let's not talk about that. Anyway, so I just
trying to get a Section 8.
One day I woke up and I said, I don't have a soul. When I leave that office, I feel empty inside. I feel depressed. There's nothing. Even though I'm creating things with my hand and my mind, there's nothing. I don't feel like I'm putting myself out there into the world with these creations. It's just soulless. It's just empty. And I gave my 2 weeks and I hit the pavement. I just walked into any old restaurant, walked into this one Chinese restaurant. I said, look, I don't know if you need anyone to help in the kitchen, but I will start just by peeling vegetables 24/7 if that's what you need. 7 days a week, I'll come in, I'll peel vegetables. 3 weeks of peeling vegetables, and they asked me to do some more prep work, and I was doing prep work. And then one day, just later that week, hey, like 3 people didn't come in. Can you help us on the line? We'll tell you what to do. It's not that hard. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, I know the line is not hard. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know the recipes. I don't know. But as soon as like they're telling me, fire this, fire that, it's Chinese restaurant. So
learning
big heavy
Chinese
walks
is a big hurdle too.
Big heavy walks. It's very different than a lot of what you would see on Hell's Kitchen or whatever. And long story short, a couple years later, I'm head chef of a catering department at a major restaurant in downtown Toronto.
So you went from talking the talk to walking the walk.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
right.
Kane Cook was a childhood hero of mine. So literally, Skep just started at the bottom and worked my way through.
So you are pro se. You read for the law. You did not go to law school. You didn't go to culinary college or anything like that.
No.
You did it
I actually went to design school because my sister said you would get eaten alive working in a kitchen, and going to culinary school would be a huge waste of time.
Yeah.
And my older sisters, I have 2 older sisters, really looked up to them because they had gone through the university process, and like they've had that experience, and they knew me pretty well, or at least I thought they did. And they were just like, no, that wouldn't be for you. Because I was just ready to up and go and just start working in kitchens, which I should have done. If I had any good advice, it would have been just go do what you wanted. Because even peeling vegetables every day, I came home and I was happy. I'd open up the door to my apartment, walk in, and be like, I feel good. I didn't do a whole lot. I peeled carrots all day, but I feel good.
Yeah.
Do you ever miss lying to people?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. He's got it spot on because corporate advertisement is all lying. I literally had one of the head guys of the corporate entity, like the big entity Skep, come up to me and say, for this, I don't care what you say or do or put into the advertising campaign, just get their money.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the trigger moment that made me go, I'm so fucking done here.
Yeah.
But enough about me.
I'm in the wrong place.
How about you, Harry? How's your week been?
It's been good. A technical thing I've been working on for weeks. It's like this annoying problem I've been working on for weeks. I actually fixed it. And that in itself isn't particularly interesting. But it was just that it was one of these things where there's missing and conflicting documentation for this thing, what little documentation there was. And I found
that's my favorite.
That the best thing to do instead of beating my head against the wall was just to, go for many walks and kind of think about it and then come back to the problem. And when I was in the right mindset, it was easy to solve. But I just needed to kind of think about the context surrounding it for a while to get it to work. And then I found some source code commit messages for the thing that actually gave me, from 6 years ago, that gave me a hint as to where to look to find the thing. And then after that, it was like it all just Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about that. It's always nice when things work.
Yep.
As opposed to that uncertainty when people are like, when are you going to fix this? I don't know.
When you fix a very stubborn technical problem that has just been, irritating you and irritating you and irritating you, and you finally, it's like getting a splinter out of your thumb. It just feels so good when it's over.
Yeah. I had some firewood in front of my house that I need to move. And so somebody was knocking at the door going, hey, can I take some of that firewood off your hands? No.
Oh, okay.
Kind of busy right now trying to host a show.
Yeah. But in fairness, at least he asked. There are places, it doesn't happen in Texas because you'll get shot. But it happens in other states where people just come by and take that. In Pennsylvania, they would just take that stuff off your lawn. They don't care.
Yeah, I'm moving it tomorrow morning. I'm moving it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So did you guys fill in the chat with all the stuff you needed to fill them in with?
Yeah, in fact, I was just about to say hello to chat, and we have a happening chat. We got a bunch of people here.
There's a bunch of people.
Joel McLaughlin, Badger is here. Mr. Yes is here. Johnny Hellcat is here. Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
All Raymond Lewis, JB. It's a happening bunch of people, and we do this for ourselves and for you, and you're a big part of this. We like to hear what you have to say. Your comments add a lot to the show. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. Good bunch tonight, Harry.
Yeah. I think we're in good position to have a good time. I don't know if Sora's going to join us. I know Serenity's not. Yeah. But for the time being, it's a sausage fest. It's okay.
Come on, Sora, please.
Hey, Skep, are you going to put your little planet thing up?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know you don't care about doxing yourself, but you in the dark is a little odd. Okay. So you were talking about that whole corporate dead inside thing, right? Functional.
Yeah. Skep was just asking.
Oh, I almost started the.
He says I talk like I know what I'm talking about, which I don't. But
well, there was this article
he knows a lot more about.
Yeah, no, I do.
Well, there was this article,
and it comes from starting at that beginning and working my way through.
Well, there was this article in Fortune this morning. Walmart CEO says paying its star managers upwards of $620,000 yearly empowers them to feel like owners. So, as more and more small businesses get gobbled up, where does your damn middle class go? Where's everybody's motivation? Because a lot of people feel like a cog in a machine, like what you were describing, and you were a cog in an evil machine. And just giving people
is supremely evil,
right? And well, why do you think I hate going to Carmel? I look at all these shitty people, just terrible people, gumming up the streets, making it miserable for anybody who lives around there. And I think, well, where do they get all their money? Advertising. A lot of advertising people. A lot of just the most evil people from LA drive up there. It's just terrible. But I always did particularly well in sort of corporate stuff because they usually made me feel like I mattered, right? I felt like I was doing something even though I was in this big soulless machine. But things are different now than they were 20 years ago. I really do feel like it has turned into formulaic, soulless, just the worst. It's a lot like the stuff that you were describing. And giving people a whole bunch of money, like a ridiculous amount of money, because I mean, $620,000 is a lot of money to be a Walmart manager, right? I mean, at least you feel like they've noticed you, I suppose. Nothing says hello and I like you like a nice big check.
Yeah.
But this obviously maybe incentivizes people, but it doesn't do a whole lot for most of the people under this guy. It doesn't seem like a solution. You can't just throw money at everybody, as much as we might like that. As a business thing, would something like this motivate you, knowing that if you really, really, really just sell your soul for long enough and hard enough that you might get to the 620,000, or are you still not interested?
I know what their business model was in gobbling up the market share of smaller, generally family-owned business, and that's one thing. But as it stands, this manager or I shouldn't say owns, but who's made to feel like an owner, who runs this particular store, this location, does real well. I don't see him or his place of business as like a negative force. It just is at that point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because it's not really in his control, but it's a level of assuredness because he has the brand name. Obviously, he doesn't own it, but he has that certain level of a financial cushion to act as though this is my baby. I'm going to take care of it. Corporate will notice and be like, this location's doing really well. So he gets that sort of financial compensation without having that entity at the end of his life cycle to hand down to his or her children or future family. You're taken out of that sort of independent loop and put into a different loop, but you're still kind of the same cog, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It is really weird.
Yeah, I still remember being youngish, and it sure feels nice when you feel like they think you matter. They will, you start going out to dinners, you're going on travel, they're asking your opinion. Some companies will do it kind of cynically, but it's nice to feel like you matter when you work at a place like that. And it's hard to feel like you matter. This is just sort of like dangling. This makes Tom really happy. His name's Tom, says on his name tag. Mm-hmm. But I do worry about all the people who don't get $620,000 a year. They are cogs in a machine.
Can we say a few things about that salary model? First of all, very few of the Walmart managers are making that much money. Probably a few are, mostly up in the Northeast and on the West Coast, and maybe in the dense part of the like Kansas City, Chicago corridor. You might have some stores doing that kind of stuff. Most of these guys, I remember when I heard that Walmart managers made $120,000 a year. This is years and years ago, and thinking, man, that was an ungodly amount of money. $20,000 was a fine annual salary back then. These guys make $100,000. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, for retail.
And then you find out that these people are basically only spending their sleep hours outside the store. And literally many of them sleep one night in the store. I mean, they spend an ungodly amount of time at that place because so much stuff has to be done. There's so many rules, so many regulations, so many standards that have to be kept up. That running that thing is like running a starship. It really is. If you try and stay in conformance, they have conformance inspections I think it's every 2 or 3 years. Every store. I mean, they stay on those guys, and those are like in-serve inspections. Those are big top to bottom inspections, and usually they tell you, like in B school, that salary is what they call hygienic. It's only a motivator once, and it's short term. It makes people happy for short term, and then they just crank it into their expectations, and it no longer you no longer get marginal or incremental motivation from these people as a result of that salary bump. You have to continue giving them salary bumps, and even that starts to run out of gas. They get psychologically tired of that. So it's not the money necessarily that motivates them. It's a lot of satisfactions. There's a lot of ego tied up into being in charge of that many things. People like that feeling of making a lot of decisions that matter, and those tend to be those types of people. That's what I've encountered.
Yeah,
put that in there.
So
I did find a little data.
Yeah.
So the modern, what you would consider a Walmart floor manager average starting salary is $60K US or $80K Canadian. The average is, Skep was close to about $125,000 per year. That's the average for assistant manager, senior manager. And announced last year in January 2024, as of April of 2024, they offered high-performing Walmart managers now have the ability to earn a whole bunch more money, up to $20,000 worth of stock grants. So the higher performing stores, their managers can get these stock grants, and those are rolling investment. I don't know, but anything about this type of stuff. But in my understanding, those things can generate money, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, like
so owning stock, you can generate a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, you don't work for Apple because of the pay.
It's not salary, but it's not such salary. But and I'm saying that yes, Skep is right. That's 620. That's the ceiling. But most are averaging out, topping out at about 400K a year because of these stock options that are generating them more revenue on the side. So it's not just their salary being 400K.
How many total managers do they have, and how many are earning 400K?
Oh, that breakdown is.
Do you have that in front?
No, I don't. That breakdown.
Right, I'll get it.
I don't think they want you to know that number, Skep.
Oh, it's easy. It's actually fairly easy to find.
Yeah. But I would like to move on to the next thing. So.
Oh yeah, please. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Before you go off and research that.
But just to finish, so the average is closer to 300 to 400K because that's including the stock options that have value, but that's not their salary. So I think saying salary, CEO says paying its star managers it's a little bit more complicated and nuanced than that.
Yeah. So, did you find it, Skep? Because I hear you typing.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like it looks like the stock grants and bonuses are longevity and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a seniority thing. Some of it's performance based, but it does look like it's like 100. I would estimate that most of these guys are probably making $200,000 to $300,000 if you were really looking for an average, but it's nowhere close. They're not averaging 620 the way possible.
Well, there is this place in L.A. This California Costco knockoff is hilarious and great. It's Costco Superstore. It's down in the predominantly Jewish part of L.A., and they've sort of modeled it so it looks like a Costco was just sort of crammed into the corner of this neighborhood. But they have nothing but... You can buy stuff in volume, but it's all just like kosher stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It's like a tiny kosher Costco.
Costco.
Yeah.
I love that so much. That's wonderful.
Yeah, they started doing delivery. They have all this sort of stuff, and it's
smart on their part.
This is really, yeah. Find yourself an audience or a customer base that isn't being served.
And
that has like
right now that is, they're celebrating their kosherness.
Yeah, and you know exactly what they want, right? There's no mystery about what they want. You have a customer base that's underserved. You know exactly what they want, and you're going to give it to them in bulk.
This is just perfection.
Yeah, I like it. Costco.
And it's Costco. I love that so much, and it would, I would staff it with all Jewish people. I would just go. I would lean into that stuff. That's something they should think about expanding in places. They really could do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind shopping there.
No, you stop it when you shop at kosher places. What I notice is you tend to get expensive, high quality stuff.
Yeah, because paying off the rabbi costs money. So
well, it's kind of part of it, but
it is kind of part of the.
They tend to be good at what they do too.
Yeah.
The Jewish folks.
But I will say this:
is what they're good at.
I avoid halal butchers, and it's not because I'm a racist piece of shit.
Well,
it's because I find the way they slaughter animals to be barbaric in the extreme. Sometimes some of them will shock the animals before they do their barbaric things, so that they don't feel it.
Some of them don't,
and some of them don't. And it doesn't say what you're getting when you go to those markets, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. I buy Jewish hummus.
Sorry, not sorry. Oh yeah, there's an Israeli hummus place in Mountain View that is just really great. There's all sorts of places you can get hummus, but man, the Israeli hummus and flatbreads and stuff are really kind of special.
Do not have to finance terrorism.
No.
To eat good, eat decent flatbread.
Yeah, not going to do that. Well, speaking of shopping, I was really shocked to see this article from Business Insider because I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Business Insider. We've talked about this before.
Yes, indeed.
Here's an article where a woman actually compliments her husband for being good at something. I was spending nearly $2,000 on groceries a month. When I handed the shopping over to my husband, he helped us save thousands. So the husband was able to, by just switching brands up and restructuring how he did the shopping, took their monthly shopping bill from $2,000 a month to $415.
Yep.
Yeah, he's an engineer, so he just engineered the shit out of how to go shopping.
I wanted to share this. This is a little bit of a me too. That's why I took over the grocery shopping in our household. Was I spend money more efficiently than the other people who might do the shopping. And I save us, I don't save us $1,000 a month, but I save us at least $200 a month, at least probably more than that, because it's me going to the market. My
local market, which we will not name,
Yes.
I actually have a spreadsheet that I put together. So I plan out what I'm going to buy, and my spreadsheet is arranged such that the rows in the spreadsheet mirror where you are if you walk through the place in a certain pattern. And it follows this pattern going from one side of the store to the other, except for the fact that the last aisle is the freezer aisle, which is in the middle.
Yes.
So it gives me the most efficient route through the market to fill the cart, keeping in mind the perishability of things as I go.
Absolutely. And from the time you take it out of you take the ice cream out of the freezer, you have about 15 minutes to get that home.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen.
Please.
When you go shopping, and I've gone shopping with my fair share of women, but as you're shopping, do you sort of keep a hard or soft tally of the cost of what you're putting into your cart?
I don't, but I've already planned what's going to go in the cart before I walk in the door.
But you have the tally.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the type that as things are going into the cart, like I have a rough tally. I know, okay, Rice Krispies $1.17. Okay, so like $1.20. Okay, pork chops, that's $8. Okay, and broccoli. Okay, so then we're up to $15. Okay, like I have that rough. Yes, occasionally wife hands me something and I put it in the cart and I'm like, okay, that's probably what, like $5. Okay, blah 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 blah. But I've noticed my sisters, my mother, partners of mine. When we went shopping, it was just like, oh, I feel like this, I feel like that, and I, casually ask, oh, what are we at? Like, roughly, what do you think we're at? They're like, oh, I don't know. It's like they shop emotionally.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I'm not as anal as you, Harry. I don't have a pre-planned diagram of how I'm walking through the store, but like Skep sort of intimated, like, something's on sale, you're going to overbuy that, less buy something that might not be as important right now. And then in future, when you do see it on sale, oh, look, I'm going to go buy 2 bottles of that instead of 1.
All right. Well, since we're all sharing this, then I'll tell you the way that I think of it is going in there and I buy it like commodities, like cereal and stuff. If the cereal that I like is on sale or in bulk or I'm in the mood for it, I'll think of it as going long those things. And if I'm avoiding buying something, for now because of meal planning, and I like to buy things fresh, so I'm going to delay buying something. I think of that as taking a short position that I'm going to cover later.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well,
and for me, I mean, just because of my culinary background, first thing I do is hit the meat department. What's good? What's fresh? What's there? What's available? And
everything
then from
orbits
those,
the meat.
Exactly. Everything from that is an orbiter. Okay, so we got good cuts of beef. I'm gonna go buy a couple bags of potatoes, maybe some broccoli, some other root vegetable. Like if it's chicken, well, I'm gonna buy things like Brussels sprouts or something that goes with the chicken, not so.
Well, I think we've patted ourselves on the back pretty well. We should probably move on to the next thing.
Try and get my arm back.
I do the restaurant supply pretty hard, so I would never buy cereal at the supermarket. That would be insane. I'd always get that stuff at the restaurant supply. You can get like these 3-pound bags of Krispies, Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
It's like some weird off-brand raisin.
It turned them into Rice Krispie treats.
Wait. Here, what are you saying? Harry?
At the restaurant supply, you can get cereal for way less money than the supermarket. Like you get like a 3-pound bag of something that looks kind of like Raisin Bran, but it's a different brand and indistinguishable once it's in your belly. And you get it for like so little money. And it doesn't go bad faster than you can eat it. And if it did, I would just vacuum seal it. It's just fine.
I must look into this.
Oh, yeah.
We are big cereal eaters. So we just like cereal.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Good old person food.
The restaurant supply places, get your cereal there. Yeah. No, literally, Skep, we would get those huge things for the breakfast menus, brunch menus, and whatever. And, like, just huge sacks for, oh, my God, it was so cheap. I was never, like, really into the back side of things, the office. But I ordered stuff, so I knew the price of stuff. Generally.
There's a place right here. Look at that.
Okay, I went ahead and looked it up. So Maltomeal Raisin Bran. Maltomeal Raisin Bran is, let's see, where did that go? It's 2 pounds 7 ounces for $8.79. That's 39
like
ounces of cereal for $8.79. Or you could get a case of 8 units for $62.39.
What's that, like 70 pounds of cereal?
Yeah, like 70 pounds of cereal. You could get a bunch of orphans, Skep.
Yeah.
Please, sir,
I've already got that. What I am thinking about this for Katie. Well, that part of my life that I don't talk about on the show. And so, anyway.
How big was it? How big was it?
It was like 2 pounds 7 ounces, I think.
Yeah.
Compared to $6 or $7 for like a regular box of Raisin Bran, that's way less than that.
Well, yeah, your average box is about 500 grams.
Okay, we're getting into the weeds.
And Koshko, Kosh means glass.
Oh, it does?
Like cup, glass. Yeah, in Hebrew.
Well, let's see. There are a number of different ways we could go here. I wanted to mention this because, we were lauding the engineer mindset, right? About that guy doing the shopping. And then you run into something like this. Doge mandates power tool manufacturers use single battery platform. Now, this could just be fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I'm not sure how Doge would be able to mandate such a thing. Maybe because of government procurement, right? You want all your power tools the government buys to use the same batteries. But this is just like an insane thing if it's true. Because what you're doing is you're saying, I want to use the same thing everywhere, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. Why would you not want manufacturers to innovate and try to give you better batteries? Because that's what you're saying. This is like if this is true, this is a pure engineer/accountant short-sighted thing that they're trying to do. I understand why they might suggest something like this, but it's actually dumb given, like with batteries, how quickly the technology changes. This isn't the same as just saying everybody has to use USB-C on their cell phones.
This is for government contracts?
It says Doge mandates power tool manufacturers use a single battery platform. Okay, in a move that's sure to cause sparks in the power tool industry, Doge has directed both the Department of Energy and the Environmental Protection Agency to mandate that all power tool manufacturers in the United States adopt a single universal battery platform. Even more stunning, Doge has tapped Positech, the parent company of Works, Rockwell Tools, and Crest, as the manufacturer to eliminate the current state of battery chaos.
Oh, so they're trying to do it on just simply the manufacturer.
I mean, this is
stupid.
If this is true, this is massive overreach, and it's also stupid because what you're doing is you're crushing any kind of innovation in batteries.
Yeah, I was just going to say you're going to stifle innovation. The words were on my lips.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is a terrible idea.
This is like what happens when engineers don't have somebody to say no.
No.
Yeah. But my initial thought...
You have to stop now.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, my initial thought was, okay, like if this is supply that they're buying for government, it all has to be, everything has to be, like you said, USB-C. Like everything has to fit this socket stuff. But no, this is complete overreach. This is just saying, oh, you all have to create a battery that fits this kind of a socket and nothing else. That's stupid.
Yeah,
true. It's very stupid. But with all the BS they've been spreading about Doge right now, it's kind of hard to believe. Personally, it says April 1st. So you sure this isn't a April Fool's joke as well?
I'm not sure, but it's not labeled as an April Fool's thing. I can imagine that this would be true. It seems awfully detailed in certain areas to be an April Fool's thing, and there's no obvious giveaway. Could be a Poe.
Yeah.
And I could absolutely imagine...
I'm trying to suss it out because it just sounds too stupid to be true. I could
totally imagine the European Union coming up with something like this. That's absolutely the kind of thing they would do.
This is not real.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
You don't trust Pro Tool reviews?
Hang on one quick second.
Well, you notice I said if it's real. I mean, I don't know for sure that it's real. I also could imagine that some idiot said this, but it doesn't actually amount to anything because it's not official in any way.
Jesus Christ, it is. It's Department of Energy release. I'm looking at it.
Well, we don't like it when Joe Biden says, you're going to regulate shower heads and thermostats and everything else, right? I don't particularly like it when the right does this. I don't want government having this level of authority. They should not be mandating key aspects of the design of a consumer product.
The DOE claims this move will reduce energy consumption from redundant chargers by up to 15% and decrease battery waste, which they view as a, quote, green leap forward.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to hurt somebody.
Yeah, I just want to kick somebody square in the nuts.
I want to break somebody's hands.
It makes my head hurt.
Yep.
Oh.
Just think about it. I can go, like, for instance, I have a bunch of the, God, what are those things called? Why can I not remember the name of the system that I use? Doesn't matter. I have a bunch of these tools that have a battery system. No, they're the Ego ones.
Okay.
And they have really outstanding batteries on those things. Mm-hmm. They're really great. Like, you can use those batteries on the electric lawnmower, the electric power washer. They're all sort of interchangeable with different capacities. But and they're expensive. Now, I can go onto Amazon and I can get looks kind of the same, but made of complete Chinesium, low quality Chinesium ones for like half, same capacity for half the price, right? Yep. Now, what this basically could mean is, depending on how far this goes, I might not be able to buy the Chinesium battery, because there may be some sort of rules about who's allowed to make the batteries. I mean, because this is really kind of overreaching. It may
cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, I might have to buy the OEM batteries, which I do anyway because I don't want my house to burn down.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, there may be a huge tariff on the Chinese batteries.
There may be.
I don't know. Think they let us sell Everready in China.
I don't know if we want to talk about the damn tariff thing. I have some stuff on it. And I kind of don't want to.
It's into speculation just so quickly.
Okay, so there is one thing about the tariff that's kind of interesting. Okay, we'll do this super fast. We are not going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about tariffs. Okay,
please.
There's this chart, and they have all of these tariffs listed here that are being proposed for the EU, China, Japan, all these people, right? So we go through this list, and everybody's really loving the what is it? The island that mostly just has penguins on it that we're taxing.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that like a thing?
Somewhat.
Hilarious.
There's nobody lives there, but there are 2 fisheries that operate just off their coast. So that's what it would impact, like immediate orbiting, what do you call them, industry.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the Heard and McDonald Islands, penguins say peace was never an option.
That's right. We're ready for you.
But people were criticizing those numbers that were on that chart. And I kid you not, I had to look into it and go, okay, so how in the hell did they calculate these things? This is wonderful, Skep.
It's not reciprocal.
It's not reciprocal. What they've done is they have calculated based on various elasticity numbers and pass-through of prices and all sorts of stuff.
Is in there, so
what they've done is they've said, how much tariff do we have to add to erase our balance of trade with this exporter?
Mm-hmm. Why do we care about our balance of trade?
But that's what this is. That's what this is. It's not a reciprocal tariff. They haven't calculated the tariffs to other countries. They've just said, look, how much do we have to basically tax your stuff such that we will no longer have a trade imbalance with you? And that's why those numbers look insane.
But trade imbalances vary by the country you have the trade imbalance with, because they exist for so many different reasons. This is not a homogeneous problem. It's quite heterogeneous. Almost every one is completely different from every other one. Every trade imbalance, every trade mix you have with every country is different.
Well, the elasticity of imports with respect to import prices, that elasticity varies widely based on what it is you're buying, from who you're buying it from. But it's the last sentence. So if anybody who gives a crap about this, and we do not want to talk about this for very long.
There's a range of rates of variation through that based on how necessary those things are. The rates of elasticity is a thing unto itself.
I know, it absolutely is.
I'm going to stop talking.
Assuming that the offsetting exchange rate and general equilibrium effects are small enough to be ignored, the reciprocal tariff that results in a bilateral trade balance of 0 satisfies that equation.
Ridiculous.
This is so much crack. This is amazing.
Here's what's real, but what's really going on is we're doing this, but what we're really doing is settling scores. What I'm doing is going around, I'm using this as a rationale to beat you up. Actually, I want a bunch of other stuff that we're not talking about publicly. That stuff has to happen. Then we'll make this stuff look good, and you'll be back on good with me, provided I get my way. This is Donald Trump just going around saying, "I'm going to blackmail all of you because I'm the United States and I can." It really isn't much more than that. And part of it is him going out and saying, "You've been screwing us for a long time. I'm going to screw you back a little bit." Part of it is deserved. Part of it is, I think, not well thought out, and it's by some people who should know better. I'm surprised that they're going along with this. I tend to think there's some unhealthy institutional momentum in the Trump administration right now that is going to take them too far down this road. I'm kind of concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to think I know a little bit about the nation I inhabit, and some of the rhetoric that they've been using, Skep, to say like, "Oh, well, there's this and there's that, and they're stealing our money." I mean, that's not true. It's just emphatically, factually not true. And I try to break down some things like, yes, do we buy widgets at 90% of market value to who they sell the same widgets to, say, Mexico? Yes. But in return, we sell them electricity at 80 cents on the dollar for,
I know.
But it's such a unique example of this happening because the United States and Canada have been so intertwined since their foundings on commerce.
That's what I'm saying.
I know that's what you're saying, but I know that's what you're saying because the same ideas and principles are not transferable between the United States and like Angola,
right?
Exactly. Or Italy. Like it doesn't work the same.
In other words, put differently.
Yeah.
What other country has an economic relationship with the United States like Canada has? The answer is not one.
None. Not a single one.
You are the biggest holders of our debt. Did you know that? Not China. Yep. You hold 2.5 times as much of our debt as China does.
Yep.
Interestingly. And
we also hold a bunch of nukes. But we'll keep that zipped.
I think we're your biggest oil customer too.
Yeah. We sell you guys so much energy.
Yeah.
Just electricity in the Northeast, oil in the West.
Yeah.
And if we had these pipelines, both countries, so many provinces and states would be making so much money. But because the left, the Democrats, the liberals, they're like allergic to, Joe Schmo oil worker making it big through hard work, not by anything nefarious, but just by hard work and selling these goods back and forth. Like I don't like it's never. I still don't understand why they're so allergic to that happening.
Yeah. And B-tier actors and actresses. We can thank you for like Neil McDonough, right? And all
Jim Carrey and Bill Shatner,
Jim Carrey and all the hot
Cher?
actresses.
You guys love Cher.
What about Bryan Adams?
Bryan Adams?
Well, and lesser known people.
Nickelback?
Yeah.
Fucking Nickelback.
Wasn't Kobe Smulders one of the Avengers? I mean, she's from there. I mean, a bunch of actors and actresses are Canadian. Yeah. I'm not going to display my extensive knowledge of Canadian actresses because that'll just make me look creepy.
But I mean, like again,
how
to
about
my
Max
point, though,
and Roy?
like, there's
sure, why not?
unique interplay between the two countries that no other two nations on Earth have had, and it saddens me and upsets me as somebody who's both. And I've been ridiculed on Twitter, whatever, this and that. Even some people in meat space who've said, well, like, if you're a dual citizen, then you have no loyalty. I'm like, wait, what do you mean I have no loyalty? My loyalty, first and foremost, is to my family, then my friends, then my neighborhood.
Okay, you just gave me a segue. Like you just gave me a segue.
But my last thing was, what? My loyalty between what? The United States and Canada? Well, my loyalty there lies with the truth. So if whomever is representing either of these nations is telling me the truth and the other one's lying, well, I'm going to go with whichever one's telling me the truth.
Okay. So speaking of dual citizens, the nice lady in the thumbnail, okay, is a woman named Charlie Javis. Okay, and she's not on the Elizabeth Holmes scale of nemesis, but she's kind of like a wannabe sort of Elizabeth Holmes, right? Okay.
I see it in the eyes, Harry.
Yeah.
I see crazy.
So basically, she's been running around. You've probably seen her on interviews, different places. She came up with a platform for which is basically software that allows people to more easily apply for student aid. Okay.
Oh boy.
And so she ran around, kind of all the good morning this and good morning that, and after all of those kinds of shows, right? Talking about how easy it is for people to apply for financial aid. Okay, so after a few years of doing all this sort of stuff, she was approached by J.P. Morgan, and they said, "We're really interested in you and your data and your application because we're evil, and we would like to buy your company from you." So what's alleged, and she's been found guilty of in court, is that she basically paid $18,000 to somebody she knew from school. We went to the Wharton School to just make up many, 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 many fake customers to make her company look more attractive. And J.P. Morgan later figured out, hey, that seems like bullshit. We're going to take you to court. Yeah. Prosecutors said Javis ended up paying a college friend $18,000 to create millions of fake names with pedigree information. The results were sent to J.P. Morgan's third-party data provider, but testimony showed that the firm never checked to ensure that people were real. So J.P. Morgan dropped the freaking hammer on her.
That was a dookie.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
they blew it on the due diligence. They're supposed to... that'll fail.
Well, actually, that was what she argued. They said, well, sucks to be you. You didn't do your due diligence, so go suck it. And that's an excuse for her. She doesn't get the... No, but she's been found guilty, Skep. She has been convicted, but not yet sentenced. Good. Okay. Now, what's super fun about this, here's where the crazy eyes and stuff kick in. Charlie Javis must wear an ankle monitor despite her budding Pilates career, Judge rules. She is a dual French-U.S. citizen, and her lawyer said, oh no, she's totally not a flight risk, because I guess France doesn't have extradition on this sort of stuff with us. At least that's what I read somewhere when I was looking into this. She's totally not going to run off to France. Totally not. And because she showed up for all these hearings, everything's fine. She's starting this new, budding, very successful, just so much potential Pilates business that wearing an ankle monitor would be awkward while she's trying to teach classes and do stuff with Pilates. So could we just not put an ankle monitor on her? Oh my God, that is the thinnest rationalization I've ever heard.
Listen to this. On April 4th, federal prosecutors in Manhattan charged Javis with wire fraud affecting a financial institution, securities fraud, bank fraud, conspiracy. These are all federal felonies, by the way. Yeah. That same day, she was also charged with fraud by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, more federal charges, more federal felonies. She was released on a $2 million bond on condition that she surrender her passports and restrict her travel to New York City and Southern Florida, agreeing not to contact witnesses who are involved in the case. A 4-count grand jury indictment made public on May 18th, 2023, also charged Javis with securities fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy. She has been convicted.
Yeah.
You know what? She's going to go to jail for 40 years.
Well, supposedly her charges add up to potentially 30 years. Now, maybe that's not including all the additional ones that they've thrown in there, but it's 30 years, and she's going to be sentenced, I believe, on July 26th. So I really feel like her budding Pilates business doesn't really enter into it.
Well, it's just going to have to take, a 30-year, of course, you get like 8% off. So she's only going to do like 28 and a half years of that 30 spot.
Yeah.
And in 28 and a half years, she can get out and pick up on that Pilates thing. It's going to be a good time for her because she's going to be older.
Yeah.
She's going to be almost, it should be in her 60s. And it'll be time to really pay attention to her health. So I think in a lot of ways, this is kind of a blessing for her.
Well, yeah, she just needs to let the ground rejuvenate, just be fallow for a little bit. She's going to come back out. She's going to be pushing the Activia.
Absolutely.
Just doing sweat into the oldies. Yeah, it's going to be great.
She better have a law degree by then, too.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe even a medical degree, too.
Maybe she could have a couple kids while she's in prison and get time off for that.
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, she's more evil than Elizabeth Holmes. I mean, she didn't hurt as many people, right? I mean, Elizabeth Holmes was definitely going to hurt more people, but I kind of feel like she almost believed her own bullshit. This is just straight up old-fashioned fraud. This is just greed.
Give me your money. This is Candace Owen fraud right here.
She needs to they need to just dig a deep freaking hole and shove her in it for 30 years. Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yep. She's not my nemesis because I could see somebody like her coming a mile away. I actually got hired by a law firm to investigate company records to see if a business that was being sold actually was actually legit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that's a big deal. I'll just tell a very quick story on myself. The company one of the last companies I worked for in my work life ended up declaring after I was gone, ended up declaring bankruptcy because they had not done due diligence on a racetrack property and its value. It had been valued at something like $25 million and actually had a value of about $4 million. And they had not done the due diligence. That company went under or actually ended up getting hacked up and bought by a bunch of different people. And as a result of that, so this is a really big deal. It can come back and bite you. And when they just come for your assets, they literally come for your assets. They take the furniture out of your office.
Yeah,
it's stunning. I knew some of the people who were still there the day that they came in and broke that company up. It was just,
Well, the thing that I did, obviously I can't name names, but the thing that I did was back in the very early days of the internet boom. And this company, part of the value for this company was based on their web server logs. And so they had all of these web server logs and nobody knew what the hell to do with them. It's like, okay, what am I looking at? And the lawyers were like, we don't know what the fuck this is. What does all of this mean? So I actually had to shove it all into what at the time was a ginormous PostgreSQL database, and then and actually come up with searches so I could generate reports on it, because all of the Webalizer and stuff tools were not there.
I would love to see the structure of that database record.
Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, good times. Man, if there's any attorneys out there that want me to consult, I'm more than happy to do it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good times. Okay, well, this is fun. Let's just do this while we're talking about the law. Hey, are you going to load? Oh, wait, these things aren't loading. So let's see if I can find another.
Programming.
I'm trying to pull an archived copy of an article, and it is something about archive.md is just not working right now. Let's see if I can find another version of it. Okay, this will work. We'll go back to the original. All right. A man who used an AI avatar in court because he thought it would present an argument well says he got chewed out by a panel of judges. So in this screenshot, which unfortunately I can't really make that much bigger. Oh, there it is. Okay. This guy was in charge in front of the Supreme Court of the state of New York. And this is an AI avatar that he basically created in the bottom right. And the judges caught on pretty quickly that something was amiss. He's using an AI-generated avatar to address the justices. Yeah.
Is that the Supreme
That's
Court
pretty
of
fucking
New York?
Yep.
A lot of white males on there.
Not all. I actually watched a couple hours of their stuff where they were basically grilling the people going after Trump on lawfare stuff.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. I watched a couple hours of them deliberating and making the DAs in New York feel very, very vulnerable.
Are they any good? Are the judges on that panel any good?
It's a spectrum. I don't want to comment on which one of them seemed weaker than the others.
I feel that.
Let's just say the old men afforded themselves quite well.
I bet.
All right. So,
show.
but yeah, why not? Why not just do that? That did not go over particularly well.
No.
Yeah, don't do that.
Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Oh.
Well, we were going to talk about Grace Hopper a little bit.
Grace Hopper?
Grace Hopper.
That
Okay,
sounds
so
familiar.
Grace Hopper, I mentioned her last week, right? She isn't some sort of bullshit women in computer history sort of person. She's like the real deal. She's one of the early pioneers of computing in America. And she is responsible for some of the first high-level languages that came along, and she was in the Navy. So I have a few clips.
And I know her.
You've met her personally.
I have.
All right.
I have played shuffleboard with her and gone drinking with her on two different nights there at Supply Course.
Yep. Which is why I thought, since you're getting over a procedure, I thought, hey, maybe now's the night to talk a little bit about Grace Hopper. So
Sure.
Here is Grace Hopper. They referred to her as like the computer queen. Here's a brief thing of her on Letterman, so you can get a sample of what she's like as a human being.
Yeah. Now, I know nothing about computers, and you know everything about computers. They've called you.
I'm going to have to stop this periodically because I don't want to get copy struck into oblivion.
Copy struck.
Not everything, all I can.
Yeah. But is there anybody who would know more?
Oh, I expect some of these good youngsters coming along know more.
But you're known as the queen of software. Is that right?
More or less.
Now, you know,
Quite a bit about that.
that conjures an image of somebody who has a lot of Tupperware parties somehow.
I could give you a nanosecond.
So she's about to whip out a nanosecond, folks.
Okay, now,
Like
I don't even know what that is, Grace.
Well, you see, we started with milliseconds, thousandths of a second, and then we went to microseconds, millionths of a second, and now we talk about nanoseconds. That's a billionth of a second.
But
Well, they told me billionth of a second, and I didn't know what on earth they were talking about.
Right.
Didn't make sense to me. So one day I called over to engineering and said, cut off a nanosecond, send it over to me. And so I've got a bundle of them here, and you can pick your color.
oh, they come in color. See, I didn't
they come in
realize that
lovely
nanoseconds.
colors.
Now, in the old days, you only had your
I
choice of
want.
white or gray, I think. now, Gracie, I understand that this is a visual.
That is the maximum distance that light or electricity can travel in a billionth of a second.
Now, Black Astronomy Guy, a.k.a. Neil deGrasse Tyson, wishes he had half the charm
The
and
aplomb.
ability to explain things to common
Yes.
people that Grace
That
Hopper
Grace
has.
had. Yes.
She seems awesome.
She
no,
is.
amazing.
no faster, no farther.
And when an admiral asks you why it takes so damn long to send a message via satellite, you point out to him that between here and the satellite, there are a very large number of nanoseconds.
So,
That's just the way she talked about COBOL. COBOL is just sentences. It's English language instructions to the computer that you get to write. She used to talk just like that.
without getting too much into COBOL, one of the things that made COBOL so successful was you could be a manager and look over somebody's shoulder at COBOL and convince yourself that you knew what it said because it looked like English. Now, that doesn't
Right.
mean you actually knew what it said, but it
you
gave
didn't.
you the appearance
Right.
of knowing what it said, right?
Well, and in places you did.
Yeah.
In places you did. In
It's like
places
me
you did
listening to
not.
people speak French. It's
Right.
very much like that, you know. It's like
Yeah.
I hear words like, oh yeah, I know that word.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that word.
40% of the nouns are the same.
Yeah.
Or derivative.
It's fine. But she actually started in the 40s, and so she was essentially in our equivalent of what was going on at Bletchley Park over in the UK. But they didn't make a movie about her. They made a movie about the breaking the Enigma code and all that sort of stuff, you know, with the, what's his name? The guy who played Khan in the
Russell
Star
Crowe?
Trek thing. No.
Turing?
The actor is
Alan Turing?
Penguin, that guy.
Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, Cumberbatch. Yeah.
Benedict.
It's funny that I
Cumberbatch.
remember Penguin. Yeah, but anyway, he played Alan Turing in this thing. So while all that's going on here in the U.S., there's Grace Hopper and a bunch of other people, and there's this video which I actually found on a channel which I had to sign up for, the Computer History Archives Project.
In 1944, Aiken was reassigned to Cambridge and returned to oversee the machine. He was joined by Navy Lieutenant Grace Hopper, who was assigned to work with Aiken at the Harvard Computation Laboratory. Grace Hopper became his most valuable deputy and member of the project team in its refinement and operation. Grace Hopper's contributions to this and other computer projects became legendary in years to come. Soon, the scope of her work in the pioneering field of computers greatly expanded beyond the confines of Harvard. This photo of Aiken and Hopper.
I always love these pictures because somebody comes to take a picture and they're like, well, what can we have you do that makes it look like I'm taking a picture of you doing work? Because this is a thing that never happens, right? This is such a made-up photo opportunity. But the point was that she was like the real deal.
She was the real deal, but then she would drink beer with you and play shuffleboard with you afterwards. I mean, she was Navy all the way through. She really was.
Okay, I have another sample for you, Skep, and I think you're going to really enjoy this because this is probably about the time when maybe you knew her, or maybe it's a little after. This is actually,
commander. Yeah, she was about to make captain.
You know, she ended up being retired as a rear admiral, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But,
So
but
anyway,
I knew
this
her
is
when she was active duty.
This is from the National Security Agency web channel. So she was giving a speech, and this is part 2 of a speech from 1982. And I've gone to the part where she starts talking about high-level languages. But other
Mr. Ream
stuff.
took one look at me and said, the Navy payroll's been written 823 times. This has got to stop. So naturally, I said, yes, sir. It ended up he asked me to return to active duty with a job of standardizing the high-level languages and getting the whole Navy to use them. I noticed how the first half of that job was finite. The second was infinite. But I'd be very glad to make a start on it. And so I reported on the 1st of August, 1967, on 6 months temporary active duty. And so far, it is the longest 6 months I've ever spent in my entire life.
Yeah, she just sort of showed up and didn't leave.
Really?
As for Navy personnel, they gave me 2 Navy men, DP3s, a civilian and a secretary, an office in the 5th deck of the Pentagon. That's the attic, slant roof, escalators go to the 4th deck, and you hike to the 5th. They gave us each a desk and a chair and a pad and a pencil. Standardize the high-level languages, start with COBOL. No cards, no tapes, no computer, and no budget. Well, since I was initiating a new Navy activity, the first thing I did was go out and buy a coffee urn. The second thing I did was teach my new crew the things the chief had taught me during World War II. And I'd like to assure you that our new Navy men and women are just as good as any World War II man ever was. It only took them 2 weeks to completely furnish the office.
Okay. She's a feisty old bird, isn't she? But there's more. Yeah, I think you probably already know all of this, Skep, but you must enjoy seeing her.
Yeah. I've got tears in my eyes, Harry.
She's so awesome.
The only day we nearly got in trouble, they turned up with a coffee table like they have down in the secretary's office. The captain took one look at it and said, "Where'd you get that?" But I remembered what to do. I just stood perfectly straight and said, "Captain, it wasn't bolted down." So that became one of our mottos. If it isn't bolted down, bring it home. In fact, we did so well that the junior officers at Nav Cossack eventually gave us our own flag. It's a beautiful nylon boat flag with grommets and everything on a pole beside my desk. And it's a skull and crossbones. And to the best of my knowledge, we were the only office ever in the entire Pentagon to openly fly the Jolly Roger and operate under its aegis. Of course, I also taught my crew that when we go out to get something, always liberate from the Air Force first, because they have everything and don't know how much they got.
So true.
Second, if you can't get it that way, try the Army, because they have almost everything and they can't count. And there's no use trying to liberate anything from the Seabees or the Marines, because they liberated it to begin with.
Right, because they stole it already.
So for a person who's like deeply steeped in computers, she seems fun.
Oh, you should catch her with 2 beers in her playing shuffleboard. It's even better, Harry.
Well, when I hook up my time machine, I'll definitely get on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sad. God, the number of things I've missed. I've missed tornadoes. I was sick the day that Chuck Yeager came by. That was the suck. Yeah, I always miss out on everything. I did hold open a door for Al Gore one time, and the only impression I got out of that is that he has a much bigger ass than you might think. It's just.
Did he give you a piece of the internet? He invented it, you know.
Yeah. He was he invented the internet, so that's why he had to get the VIP treatment of young Harry opening a door for him.
That's another. People say that Captain Grace invented COBOL, and she doesn't like to hear that. She will come back very feistily and quickly and say no. You know, there were a lot of people involved in that. She's very modest about that. She was absolutely critical in getting COBOL off the ground. Absolutely critical.
Yeah, I have some more really good Bell Labs stuff, but unfortunately we do not have time to go through all of that tonight.
Turn into nerd stream.
Yeah, well, hey, you know, worse things could happen. I mean, there's just 3 of us, right?
Yeah, there is that.
And we've got 5 viewers.
There are no rules anymore.
We may have driven some people away.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh, well.
But you're not feeling well, and I figured you deserved a little bit of Grace Hopper. I thought that'd be a treat.
Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you very much.
So I have a few follow-ups I want to do. We talked about the LA fire, and it's a huge mess, right? An absolute huge mess, the whole LA fire thing.
But at least the homeowners have been able to build their home.
Well, I believe last I checked a few days ago, they've approved 4 permits.
Oh, I heard 3.
At the city.
4. Right.
Yeah, so 4. So Adam Carolla,
all right, so
you know, everybody's favorite comedian, used to be a builder type guy. He got in with the Army Corps of Engineers, and they gave him a tour of all the stuff that they were doing to do the cleanup. And it's quite the little operation that they've got going on, you know, in terms of crushing the concrete, separating out all the metal. I didn't realize that the Army Corps of Engineers was largely private people that they hire. I thought they were mostly people with military commissions, but
It used to be. That used to be. Now the Army Corps, especially the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Navy Seabees are not as bad. The Army Corps of Engineers has mostly been turned inside out and has military officers just at the very top echelons of major activities, and the rest of it is all civil service.
yeah. Well, they go through this whole thing, you know, they have to keep track of everything that comes off of each lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, for bookkeeping purposes, you know, if something comes off of some lot that used to be your house, they can give you an accounting of whatever was removed in terms of the type of material and how much of it was. Because of course we have to have all these rules and regulations. And this is a PR event, right? So it's meant to make the Army Corps of Engineers look good. But even factoring that in, it looks like a pretty impressive operation. I can't even imagine the city of LA trying to do anything like this with this level of organization, because they're all just grossly incompetent.
Right. They are so sclerotic. You know, places like LA can't do anything. That's what Doge is finding, you know, in our federal government too, is that kind of sclerosis. It's this kind of thing. LA literally could not dig itself out of this ever. It simply would be so mired in bureaucratic morass and angry hatred, you know, class hatred of bureaucrats for people who wanted to rebuild their nice homes, that they simply would never rebuild these homes. It would never get done. they are in terrible trouble. They're having this is what a sociological crisis looks like.
And remember, Skep, our favorite progressive talking heads like David Pakman and the local California Democrats said that the Army Corps of Engineers was unneeded to get this done. And then look at all they've accomplished in mere weeks.
Well, they're the only ones getting anything done.
When we know that if it was left to the California bureaucrats, it wouldn't even be addressed until 2035.
It simply would not happen.
It would not happen, no.
One group waiting for another group, waiting for another group, which is waiting for the first group. And it will be one of these boss tweets, who's pointing at whom, kind of things, if you know the famous picture. And with everybody pointing fingers at everybody else, nothing gets done. And so there you go.
Yeah, but they've got like a whole process set up here in terms of going through and just compactifying and categorizing and recycling whatever can be recycled, and they're just chewing through all this stuff that they're removing from all this rubble. Now there are some private sites where they can't do certain things. Like he gives an example of there was this one site where there was a retaining wall between two pieces of property, and when they do something, they can't do anything that goes from one parcel to another. They're confined by their rules, basically, to only deal with things that strictly correspond to that one site.
Right.
I think if they got rid of some of the
high costs back to it.
Exactly. I think if they got rid of some of these rules and they just stopped keeping track of what came off of each parcel and just did it, they could probably get it done a lot faster. I feel like there's a little bit of bloat going on here.
Yeah, it's not hard to imagine.
And maybe they care a little too much about the recycling. It'd be like, yeah, send it all off to some site in the near the desert, not the nice part with the tortoises and stuff, just the shitty land that you can't grow anything on, and you can sort through it later. Let's just clear all of this shit.
The shores of the Salton Sea.
Yeah, let's just clear all of this shit off of here and start rebuilding LA. I mean, and I hate LA, but these people deserve to not have to live like this.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's not the people that we hate; it's the bureaucracy of the people who claim to be in control.
I hate a lot of the people, actually.
Well, weirdly,
you ever driven in LA?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like generally, I'm a misanthrope, but I mean, it's on a person to person basis, Skep. Like once I meet you and I know you as a person, then I'll make like an informed decision. Do I really hate you, or are you just another person like me who is just sick of people?
I think as you mature, you'll begin to see the value of large-scale euthanasia, though, when it comes to
yeah.
God, I still remember the last time I was in LA. I was like standing in line for something, and there were these teenage girls in front of me, and they were just so happy to be themselves, and and they were just doing the thing that teenage girls do, but with the flair of LA on top of it. Just that extra portion of superficiality on top of it.
The Valley Girl thing.
Like, oh my God, Harry!
Yeah, it was like that. But I did notice that they all looked kind of like they were all sort of skinny fat. They were all like flabby and sort of untoned but skinny, and just scooting by on the fact that they were about 19. It's like the only thing you've got going for you right now
is youth.
That's
all.
And it is not going to last.
Yeah, and oh boy, are you going to get kind of shapeless and weird looking in old age. I can see where you're going. Yes,
yeah.
I know that.
Well, then
these were not attractive. These were not the kind of women that were attractive to me then, and they're not the kind that are attractive to me now.
But Harry, on the plus side, either their mom has a really good plastic surgeon already, or their dad is a plastic surgeon. So
I know you're joking, but that's actually so close to the truth.
I'm not joking.
No, dad number 2's in advertising.
Dad number 2's in advertising.
I see car lights out there. I'm starting to wonder if people are going to steal my firewood.
Have you had any more drone visitations? Or, no, what was the visitation that you had? You were...
Aliens?
Who are you talking to, me or Functional?
No, you Harry.
I didn't have any.
People... never mind.
I forgot
something that I thought I remembered about you being worried about some piece of property you had that's not where you are.
Well, I think I think I was after the abduction. I just forgot a lot of stuff. That's probably what it is. I've still been waiting for Nigel Jr. to take the bait and get zapped. I freaking hate those damn rodents, but this one's particularly shy. He doesn't like run around and do calisthenics like Nigel did.
Have you seen evidence of life recently?
Well, this new one
with the new guy,
he ended up eating. I had like a 5-pound bag of flour that had expired that I was going to throw away, and before I threw it away, he got to it, and I just found like this. He's so full of King Arthur whole wheat flour because he's a California rat.
Sure.
That he only went for the whole wheat.
Right.
Yeah. So he's so full
he's
that
conscious.
Yeah, he's very health conscious, but he's not running around the yard like Nigel did. He's not running around the garage. But I've set up the electric powered abattoir and put a little piece of bait in front of it, with the baits inside, and he's taken the little teaser bit. But he's hardly moving at all. This doesn't really make for good content. Because remember, Nigel would run around and through the show like 3 or 4 times. I go, well, let's cut to the Nigel cam. It's like, no, this new
cam. He'd be doing dashing through the.
Yeah, this new rat doesn't give me any content to work with.
Right.
There's no life and death struggle.
You've got to get a better breed of rat.
Yeah.
You need
it's the California rats, though. They're kind of mid, kind of skinny fat.
Kind of mid.
All right.
Skinny fat. Their parents are kind of like, loafing. One's a plastic surgeon.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be a little careful because I don't like commenting on people's appearance because, sometimes people can't help it. But I just was confronted with lazy, vapid, self-absorbed, and it was just like so many things. It's like if they could just solve one of those things, I'd be like, okay, you're allowed to be a little conceited. But no, you're just young. That's all it is. You're just, that's not going to last. Let's see. Have you guys heard about this? 23andMe is bankrupt.
Oh no.
Okay, so 23andMe, the genetic tracing service thing, has gone bankrupt. And
the one that scared me so bad that I wouldn't share my information with them. I was kind of interested in what they had to offer, but I was afraid they would be fast and loose with my stuff.
Well, they're filing for bankruptcy, and a number of people have urged him to file requests to have their stuff destroyed because it looks like as part of the bankruptcy, they're just going to sell your data to whoever.
Right.
So if for some reason you gave a sample to 23andMe, it would probably be a good idea to get that destroyed because you wouldn't want some future insurance company denying you coverage because of some genetic marker. You do not know how this is going to be used. Yeah.
Assuming you can.
You would never even know why you were turned down. So if you've given stuff to 23andMe or honestly any other of these things, just have it destroyed.
I mean, I did the thing with Ancestry.
Yeah.
And they looked like they had pretty good safeguards. Plus, I'm at a place in life where privacy is of vastly less value to me than it is to a younger person. I mean,
you don't even get privacy in the John anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just as it is, I live a very open life, and that's kind of the way I guard myself is by living such an open life, and my personal habits are so uncontroversial, and my lifestyle is so uncontroversial that I can kind of get away with that. I'm simply too uninteresting to bother with.
But this might affect your relatives is the problem.
Yeah, it might. Yeah,
so
that's true.
There's just a little part of this that I was going to read. When customers originally signed up for 23andMe, they agreed to terms and conditions and a privacy notice that allows the company to use their information for research and development as well as share their data in aggregate. Okay, not individually identified, in aggregate with third parties. Okay, if consumers consented to additional research, which the vast majority did, the company can additionally share their individual information with third parties. 23andMe has also been clear that if it is involved in a bankruptcy or sale of assets, consumer information might be sold or transferred.
Might in the sense that the sun might come up tomorrow.
Might in the sense of absolutely will. So
yeah, exactly.
Seriously, just to be safe, if you sent your DNA off to 23andMe, for the love of God, just file the notice immediately.
What if I just sent some DNA to Holmes?
Some DNA to Holmes?
Yeah, what's her name?
Elizabeth Holmes.
Elizabeth Holmes. What if I? Yeah, Theranos. What if I sent her some DNA in the mail?
Depends on which DNA you sent her, dude.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Kind of does.
She got pregnant.
Kind of
does.
Yeah.
Because one is a party foul, the other one's actually probably criminal.
Well, it was foul.
And look at this. Without like some females around to keep us on our toes, it's just we're degenerating into that. How terrible.
Dick and fart jokes. Yep.
Yeah.
We are. Amen.
Let's see. Global
One
trade
of us is a
war.
sailor. Ex-sailor.
Yep.
So we have an excuse.
So here's another thing that's happening in LA, and it couldn't happen to a nicer town. RV storage lot taken over by squatters damaged more than 50 campers in City of Industry. So down in LA, in the City of Industry, which is near LA, they were a bunch of luxury RVs that were owned by this company. And a bunch of squatters basically took it over and made a small squatter city. And it's as terrible as you can imagine it would be. And the government won't do a goddamn thing about it because it's a civil matter. We can't do anything about the fact that a mob basically went in and took away your business because it's a civil matter. It's not a mob.
It's people who need a place to live, deserving people who deserve your money a lot more than you.
They're still looking for bread, Skep. They're going through each of these RVs looking for bread.
That's all they want. It's just a little crumb of bread.
And they've managed to get a few of them back. Hungry. You know, they've ended people go and grab them. And of course, they're completely and utterly trashed.
Yes, absolutely.
You know how much these damn things cost? These things cost anywhere from like $35,000 up to $100,000 plus.
Yeah, but you can't gut rehab these things like you can a house. You have to take out the inside walls. You basically have to disassemble them and rebuild them. This is really fucked up, you know?
It is. And the fact that the government won't do a goddamn thing about it is just revolting. Yeah. This whole excuse of it's a civil matter. No, it's a crime in process.
Yep. It's exactly what it is.
Trespassing is a crime. It's not a civil crime. How can you not do something about it?
Destruction of business property. That used to be a big time crime in America.
It's a private trespass issue. Well, it's private trespass issue up until you tell them to leave, and then when they don't, then it becomes criminal.
Yeah.
And the police won't do a damn thing about it.
We choose not to do anything about that.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Move along. Hey, it's not my camper. Who cares, right?
Right. Hey, and you didn't build that camper.
You didn't build that camper.
You didn't build that.
Good times.
Obama. I worked on Obama's first campaign.
You did?
On the primary, because I wanted him to beat Hillary because I thought he was more vulnerable than Hillary was. So I was actually a ward captain for Barack Obama.
Nice. I can't say as I've ever campaigned for Barack Obama. I did send some money to. There's a few Democrats I've actually donated to over the years because I thought they were less onerous than the people that were running against them. I gave a little bit of money to Al Franken because why not? He was less terrible than the others. I don't have a problem with honest people that I disagree with.
Yeah, I disagree with Al Franken on a number of policy issues, but if you hear him talk, he is a sincere, decent man. Yeah. And that stuff about that stupid little thing he pulled, that little fraternity prank thing that somebody purity spiraled him out of a career out of, that was bullshit. Yeah. Sorry, that was just complete bullshit. Nonsense. That's not who he is. Al Frank's a much better man than that, even though, like I say, he's a complete liberal and I have a disagreement with him about his politics.
No, I can deal with people that argue honestly, even if I disagree with them, except for communists, because they just need a helicopter ride. But I mean, as long as you're not a communist,
Exactly,
and you're
and they
not
do
a
need
lying
helicopter
piece of
rides.
shit, it's fine.
Yes, Bernie Sanders, you cannot argue with. AOC, you cannot argue with. They don't argue from facts. They argue from what the emotional assumptions they think are facts that have been presented to them as facts that are not facts. That are provably not facts, but they will sit and harp ideology and just say untrue things, and prevaricate and avoid and whataboutism. They use every argumentative tactic in the world to escape an honest confrontation with the fact that communism is inferior to competition-driven anything. Any other system that has an element of competition-driven will destroy communism over time. These people go back to it. It's like a siren song, like they can't resist. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so equity. Everybody has the same. You know what? In North Korea, everybody makes the same amount of money. It's true. The entire country is paid, including the president, is paid a stated salary, and it's the same amount. It's like $100 or 100 somethings, and it's a meaningless figure that nobody ever gets paid anyway. But it's just a stated thing. That's where communism ends up. Communism ends up like North Korea. Capitalism ends up like South Korea.
So I had a really petty thought the other day, and I was confronted with Representative Anna Paulina Luna, and I was thinking to myself, just how annoyed must AOC be by her existence?
Oh my God!
I mean, can you imagine old donkey face McBartender, just how annoyed she must be? Because I'm pretty sure she would like to be the best looking Latina woman in Congress.
Yeah. Sorry.
But it ain't happening.
No.
It is.
Nope. Anna Paulina Luna is, she's the bomb.
I mean, and it's like, she's not really my thing necessarily, but objectively speaking, I mean, clearly she doesn't look like she's been on Hee Haw. Okay.
Right. I mean, exactly. AOC looks like Mr. Ed's cousin.
Yeah. I mean, she looks like, if she wasn't such a complete R word, I mean, she looks like she might be fun to hang out with if she was a friend's friend and you went to a party. It's like, okay, so who's picking up the punch bowl now? Oh, it's Alexandria. She just does that, right?
Yeah. I'd still have to get drunk to do her, though.
Yeah. That's neither here nor there.
So
but Anna Paulina Luna, I just think that the fact that there's a better looking Latina woman who's also a Republican in Congress must really annoy her. Like late at night when no one's around and she's having trouble getting to sleep, I'll bet she grinds her teeth thinking about this. Or maybe she doesn't think about anything. Maybe she's just an empty vessel and I don't get it.
No. See, Alexandria is not smart enough for the job she has, and so she spends a lot of time being insecure. She was picked by a bunch of people like that nice side cat fellow and some of the Mr. Uyghur, and those fellows got together and picked a talent show winner, and that was her. And they said, you get to be our congressman. We'll tell you how to vote, give you all the things to say. And as a result, now that she's lost a few of those guiding stars and she's chosen to assert herself and show her ass, the Democratic Party is taking another look at her. And people like old Sidecat are looking at her. And if she gets too far out of line, she could get primaried. Do you realize that?
She has cost her district so many jobs with her stupid shit.
I think she could get unpopular in her district.
Maybe.
Unpopular enough to primary with somebody who would be like a carbon copy, but maybe just a little bit more stable. Because AOC is she's essentially so stupid. She's just a little bit too stupid for even the pretend congresswoman job. She's not as stupid as Kamala Harris, but she's approaching that territory. She's like if Kamala Harris was ever sober, they would be about the same intelligence level, I think.
Yeah. Let me see. So this is a thing that happened. I wasn't going to talk about this, but since I'm thinking about the squad and these morons, Cory Booker apparently decided to go. He was trying for the Guinness Book of World Records or something, and I guess he couldn't yo-yo for long enough, so he decided to just stand up and rant incoherently for 25 hours. Yep. Is everybody who I've heard talk about this or who I have talked to about this has no idea what the hell he was talking about. Now, if he had stood up there for 25 hours and talked about something that he actually believed in, I would be like, okay, kudos to him. He actually gave enough of a crap that he spent 25 hours making himself hoarse, wearing an adult diaper, whatever it was he did, to spend 25 hours out there doing that.
God,
but
that is gross.
But it was just a stunt. It was just a stunt. He just sat up there and wasted 25 hours for nothing. He wasn't stopping something from being voted on. Nope. It was just a stunt. It's just like, hey, look at me. I'm Cory Booker. I can talk for 25 hours. Vote Booker. I should be the next president. No, you're a moron. Sorry.
You know, the way that NPR presented it said Senator Cory Booker stood on the Senate floor and began a speech criticizing the Trump administration, and the 55-year-old Democrat from New Jersey kept talking and talking through the night and the next day for 25 hours and 5 minutes. He did not sit, he did not eat, he did not use the restroom. Body's weary in a lot of places, from my back to my feet, my legs. I'm just feeling it. Booker told All Things Considered host Juana Summers, but my soul is soaring and I feel very blessed by the whole experience. His effort, which involved dozens of fellow Senate Democrats asking questions to relieve his speaking burden, set a record for the longest speech on record in the chamber. It surpassed the previous record set in 1957, when I was 5 years old, by segregationist Senator Strom Thurmond, who filibustered for 24 hours and 18 minutes to oppose the Civil Rights Act. The Booker started his speech at 7 p.m. on Monday and pledged to use his time to, quote, disrupt the normal business of the United States Senate for as long as I am physically able. In just 71 days, the president has inflicted harm, blah, 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 diatribe, diatribe, diatribe. Mm-hmm. And then he, you know, it's just like one of these I have a bolder vision speech, you know, he's, you know, he wanted to be Spartacus one more time, I think.
He should pay Don Lemon to follow him around so he doesn't look so stupid. That would be the thing. Idea. I hope you're helping me keep an eye on chat, because I cannot. I'm doing too many things for one human being. I can't do them all well.
I understand that. In fact, I was going to.
We haven't forgotten about you, chat.
Cryptic's here. Hey, Cryptic. Didn't
he was there a while ago.
And nothing to see here. Nothing's here. Nice to see you guys. Raymond Lewis, Mr. Yes, JB. It's very nice to see you guys. And Mr. Yes, whole food is better than processed food. Yes or no, Harry?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I think I would even say on an occurrence by occurrence basis in my life, most times.
The thing about processed food is it depends on why it was processed, right? We've talked about
what do you mean by processed food?
Well, we've talked about what it was like before major appliances showed up, right? Like washing machines, toasters, the those newfangled ovens.
Washing clothes.
You spent all day doing all this stuff. And especially when people got a little bit more money and science kind of caught up, it was in the 50s that convenience food started to show up. Right. And it's like you would do things to it so you could freeze it. You get like a Swanson TV dinner. You remember when you were a little kid and you'd bring out the TV trays and you, instead of eating at the table like a civilized human being, maybe on a special occasion, for like 60 minutes or something, you would set up the TV trays.
Carol Burnett. Yes.
And you would peel back that foil and get that thing, and then you'd get that shitty apple compote.
The steam would come up from the apple cobbler.
The steam would come up, and it was great because you weren't sitting at the table. It was like a special occasion. Because you could eat in front of the TV with your TV dinner.
Really flimsy metal TV tables.
Oh, but it was the best.
Were real simple, and they had clips, and I could unfold them even though I was a little kid.
Yeah, you could have water or maybe some milk or a glass of Tang maybe or something. Just it could be anything, right? I mean, but it was great.
Tang.
Watching
dinner time was Ovaltine, buddy.
Watching TV on a piece of furniture that had a giant black and white TV screen that had curved sides.
Oh yeah,
they weren't straight sides; they were curved sides.
Got to adjust the pincushion effect. Oh yeah. No. Anyway, but a lot of convenience food, it's engineered so you can do things like freeze it and then heat it up, and it would actually be something you'd want to eat. But even something as simple as, like, in the UK, bird's custard, because people would want to eat their custard because they're English and that's what they do, right?
Right.
Making custard is a pain in the ass, so they would get instant custard. It would be bird's custard. And then you could get custard powder. And you're used to these things, like, I don't know if you ever did much stuff with DrFunctional, but, like, if you're going to make a custard or even a creme anglaise or something like that, a lot of times you would use cornstarch, right, to make life easier. Yeah. So custard powder, even real fancy chefs sometimes use custard powder to make pastry cream more easily because it's a pain in the ass to do it the hard way.
It gives you a little bit more silkiness than thickness that you get from, like, cornstarches.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
Your body largely doesn't give a crap about modified cornstarch versus regular cornstarch, and it certainly doesn't care about GMO corn versus regular corn. What it cares more about is, like, all of the weird food colorings and extenders and things. So there's some things that don't matter, and there's some things that do matter, right? And a lot of the corn and soy in particular that found its way into the Western diet that just has no business being there, like soy protein. Soy protein isn't inherently bad, but you're taking the American diet and fundamentally changing the mix of it. So I don't think all modern manufactured food is necessarily bad. But, and your body doesn't know the difference about a lot of it, especially the GMO stuff. But this stuff where you look at it and it's like, if you need a degree in chemistry to understand what's in your food, maybe you shouldn't eat it.
That's fair.
And there's some things you just add, like basically vitamin E to keep something from going rancid. Okay, fine. But the stuff that they put in, like, Wonder Bread to keep it from going bad is pretty terrible.
If you're eating white bread, that's not a good thing.
Well, did I tell you about slime molds? Which are basically like a colony organism. Slime molds.
Like actinomycetes, is that what you're talking about? So
slime molds...
Schizomycetes?
Well, basically act like a colony organism. They will even differentiate into, like, fruiting bodies and different things, and it can actually move. Right. Now, if you put a piece of real bread in front of a slime mold, it will be all over that, and it will eat it. If you put a piece of Wonder Bread in front of it, it will go around it. It will it will treat it like it's poison.
It's an obstacle. No, it treats it like it's inert.
I don't trust food that doesn't mold. Okay, if mold can't consume food, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
More petroleum now than man.
Yeah.
It's a play on Star Wars. More machine now than man. It's more petroleum now.
Just because some Germans took some coal tar and figured out how to make pretty colors doesn't mean I want it in my food.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That has nothing to do with what we need to talk about.
The dye industry, which, by the way, just to complete the rabbit hole, led to antibiotics. But that's not important right now.
Well, yeah, some of them. Some of the good ones, yeah.
Yeah, sulfonamides. How about that?
Just getting ready for the apocalypse. I got my fish tank and my battery, and no, never mind. We're not.
And
hey, I've had my hernia operation, so I'm good to go now.
Yeah, you're good. That's right.
I don't know what the USDA or FDA or whatever body was in charge had the classifications of what is considered, air quotes, GMO, but up here it also, they started the progressives, because they love to ruin everything, made them include it in things that were just what do you call it when you breed things with purpose?
GMO. Those are genetic. That's genetic modification.
But they weren't
modifying them naturally.
Yeah, directed evolution is not the same thing as genetic engineering necessarily.
Cross-pollination, cross-breeding. Yep. There's a specific term in botany when you do that.
Well, that's hybridization.
Hybridization, something like that. But that before they did not denote that as being part of the GMO label. The GMO label at one point was denoted that they were literally editing genes of these foods, and they called it the Franken foods. And that's what started all of this. But then they started including things that were just bred to be certain ways. And I remember a long time ago stating, like, well, where's that going to end? Because cows did not exist, 400 years ago. We bred them from aurochs. We crossbred them from aurochs. And what about dogs? Like, what? We can't own our Siberian Huskies anymore because we bred them to be more docile and friendly towards humans and intelligent. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So I don't know if apparently it does sound like it did, but so they do include the crossbreeding and selective breeding as part of the GMO family now.
I didn't
as far
think
as
they
advertising
did,
and labeling.
but I went and looked it up, and I was surprised to find that anything that basically changes the genetic structure, even if done through natural means.
Yes, that's the point I was trying to make.
Because there was a time when it was sort of like, well, unless we basically splice genes from like a starfish that can produce a stinging toxin into this corn so that insects won't eat it, that's a... Here you go. That's genetically modified, but they've now got GMO as a broad class of things, many of which are just completely benign.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember, again, from the advertising days, like having these classifications, and at one point it was just anything that was edited on a like cellular level was considered GMO and had to be labeled as such. But since then, it's just anything that's been changed from one form to another that there's no real delineation of when this starts.
I think this is a sign that it's become a football of ideology. When you start to see the category become so laden with so many representative parts of different aspects of the problem that are it becomes amorphous and diffuse. Becomes hard to it begins to lose its meaning and becomes kind of a political football. I think that's where it is. Just off the top of my head.
No, that makes complete sense because we see that happen with the language all the time, and it's usually the communists, the aforementioned communists, who love to just change the meanings of words.
Sure.
Because the amount of times I hear people say, "Oh, liberals are all crazy," and I'm like,
"It's easier."
Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever parlance you want to use.
Easier than thinking.
All right, well, let's see. I have something that I remember that didn't make the cut like 2 years ago, but hey, we're talking about it, so let's
all right, bring it on.
I found it. So I think this is the thing.
Easy on the eyes.
Let's kill that.
We gotta
Every year, Mexico eats 46 million metric tons of corn. Corn is everywhere in Mexican food, like tortillas, tamales, and sopes. But now, Mexico is banning corn, and this is why. Most of the corn eaten in Mexico is not grown in Mexico. It's grown in the U.S. And the corn that comes from the U.S. is genetically modified.
Okay, so...
Outrageous.
They claim that it's about the genetically modified thing, but it's really just protectionism. That's what it is. They really but when it comes to like food stuff, people will use tariffs to do things like make sure that you still have a domestic food supply. You can make an argument that food is in a different category, but it's pretty obvious from this video, which I'll hit play on in a moment, that this is really just protectionism.
Which makes the corn cheaper, but also very processed. And if all
processed in the sense that it's like an F1 hybrid or, it's like, this is bullshit.
All this corn is coming from the U.S., then Mexican farmers can't make any money. So Mexico banned all genetically modified corn from the U.S. But don't worry, Mexico isn't running out of any corn. Actually,
Mexico has 59 types of corn that you can't find anywhere else. So for all this corn to keep being eaten...
See, it's good, right? They have 59 different types of corn that can't compete with American corn, so we're going to throw... Yeah, so we'll just ban it.
59 inferior kinds of corn. Jesus, stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Does that qualify as crazy eyes?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Latina. It's just default crazy, right?
I got to make it bigger.
The stereotype.
Latino women are actually pretty okay. They're definitely fun to be friends with. I don't know if I would want to date one, but they're super fun to be friends with.
This is Crazy Eyes about to be revealed.
It's Emergent Crazy Eyes.
Yeah, it's Emergent Crazy Eyes. This is just she's just about to flash white all the way around in the Lizzie Holmes. See,
she's talking with her hands a lot.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Means lie.
My ancestors came from the Mediterranean.
Yeah, look at that predatory face. That is not a loving face. That's a face that wants to eat you.
I have a whole bunch of Sicilian caponata that I made because I was thinking, I need to, it's good to get more Mediterranean stuff into my diet. And so I have like this ginormous tub of Sicilian caponata. And it's pretty great. I was checking the seasoning on it, functional, and I was just like, this is good, but I'll bet you just a little bit more salt and some freshly ground black pepper, and it's going to be great. Just the tiniest pinch of salt took it and made it 3 times better. It's astonishing how important seasoning is. People do not get it. And it's not about making it too salty. It's about just opening up your taste buds so that
just putting some salt in it, because they don't pre-season that kind of stuff. They leave it to you because it's going to ruin the flavor in the time it's sitting there to the time it reaches your mouth. So
well, it's kind of
those kinds of, but in that kind of a society, that there's salt on the table and you put salt on everything.
Well, it's kind of an agrodolce sort of thing. So Italian sweet and sour. God, I am really just not staying on topic. Okay, a little bit of discipline so we can talk about Neptune and maybe wombats, because whatever's in the thumbnail we have to cover, right?
Right.
Although I don't think I'm going to have time to make fun of Bill Burr. He'll get another dose of my abuse next week.
May I suggest as a potential science fiction novel title, The Wombats of Neptune? It has some possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about the Wombats of Neptune.
No, the Webb telescope has actually detected auroras on Neptune. Now,
nice.
We have auroras on Earth. We have them on Jupiter. We have them on Saturn. Now, but Neptune is a long goddamn way away. And you would think that all of those charged particles coming out of the sun that would be pulled into the magnetic field, they might be a little too dilute. No, there are auroras on Neptune. So we can basically say that pretty much everything with an atmosphere has an aurora at this point, even all the way out to Neptune, which is cool. But what's really cool about this is that the Webb telescope is so damn powerful that it's able to actually capture this.
That is amazing. That's an amazing picture.
It is an amazing feature.
Optical picture from Earth.
Well, it's actually a combination of 2 pictures. This is actually Webb composited on top of Hubble.
I see.
So Webb detected the aurora, which is the light green part that you see sort of on the right side. Yep. And Hubble, they basically use that so you can see where the aurora is.
Right.
So the aurora was actually picked up in the infrared. So it is a composite image. Thanks. But you wouldn't have any frame of reference otherwise.
It's just getting that solar wind.
Yep.
And that is so interesting.
Well,
it's evidence of that radiation hitting that all the way from the sun. What is it's got to be 4 billion miles.
I forget how many AU it is. It's so far. It's so damn far. It's like 10 AU or something. It's a lot. It's in the teens. But
it's 30.07 AU.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here it is. 30. Okay. So Neptune facts.
Yeah, I thought it was just insane.
Neptune has a couple things about it that are pretty bizarre. One is that the winds on Neptune are the highest speed winds in the solar system.
Yes. There's no mountains there.
Well, it's not just that there's no mountains. It's a combination of things. It's big. Okay. It's big. It has a lot of angular momentum. It rotates very fast. I believe a day is like 10 hours there, and it's ginormous.
Right.
And the atmosphere is not particularly dense, so it doesn't take a whole lot of energy to get it moving really, really fast. So the winds on Neptune go up to about 1,300 miles per hour. That's a nice breeze. 1,300 miles per hour.
I thought oh wow. Man, that is really...
I checked. I found 3 different numbers, and the more recent one is the 1,300. Some will say 12. Some will say 12. I think this is the NASA page. Let's see. Does it
1,300? Yeah, because...
Oh, sorry. The NASA page is saying 1,200 miles per hour. Yeah. Still fast.
Another interesting note about Neptune, it has a multi-layer liquid core as opposed to molten.
For our purposes, there's no real difference between 1,300 and 1,200. That's fucking fast.
Yeah.
Okay, but now I'm gonna blow your mind, Functional.
Yeah.
If you could stand on the surface of Neptune, the gravity is actually nearly the same as Earth.
Yes.
And you already knew that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's because if you look at that radius, the density of Neptune, even though it's much more massive than Earth, the density is actually quite a bit less.
Why? Because it's liquid. It's not molten rock and metal.
Yeah, and surrounded by gas.
And gas, yes.
Yeah. So,
but the core is just like things that would be gaseous outside would be concentrated liquid inside.
Well, you're a long way from the center of gravity.
The mass is very... What, sorry?
You're a long way from the center of gravity, and since gravity varies by the distance squared, you experience less gravity even though it's freaking massive. It's a little more than Earth. Uranus, or Uranus if you prefer, is actually has lower gravity than Earth at the surface.
Yes.
Which is super fun. I actually hadn't heard that before. It had never occurred to me that that would be true, but once I heard it, it's like, oh, of course. Of course. Well, anyway, Neptune, why not? I told you about, I was playing pool one time, and some woman had a picture of Neptune on her phone as like the screensaver. And I said, nice picture of Neptune. I was just being polite. I wasn't trying to pick up on her. And the woman said, that's not Neptune. I said, pretty sure it is. Because I didn't care. I didn't care that much. And then she kept arguing with me. So of course I go on my phone and I do a search and I find a picture that's exactly like the one that she has, except in big block letters it says Neptune on it.
And she gets mad.
I didn't care. I just went back to playing pool. Like I said, I was just trying.
You didn't try to stoke the fight even greater and say Pluto's not a planet.
I was just going up to get a refreshment for my beverage, and I was not trying to make time with her. She just happened to be inconveniently placed versus where I wanted to get the bartender's attention, and I figured it'd be awkward not to say anything to this person. So hey, let's just talk about your screensaver on your phone. But turned out she was a moron.
You know what? Yeah. That was perfectly eloquent small talk.
Yeah.
Perfectly cromulent, perfectly acceptable.
It was.
Just
very
people
cromulent.
have
very cromulent.
Yeah.
Very cromulent. But people have lost the appreciation for the art of small talk. Like, especially I find in very urban areas, just saying hello to someone passing on your street, you get one of two reactions. You either get the complete ignore or the yeah, same to you, you too, sort of confused sort of response. I'm frequently guilty of the latter, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to say hello. Had I, normally I'm the one to say hello and get the response, but sometimes I'm caught off guard.
Well, I've got that E in my Myers-Briggs, so apparently I'm guilty of chatting up everybody.
I like talking to people.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I'm perfectly happy talking to strangers. Oh, go away. No, we're not going to talk about that, are we? Okay. So here's a video. This guy actually has been doing model rockets, but he wanted to do landing them. But he's got solid rocket motors. So you can't just throttle it up and down by controlling the amount of fuel. How do you make a solid rocket essentially land? Well, this guy essentially engineered it so that he had he tried doing the pulse width modulation. That didn't particularly work, but he found that by fashioning these two little clamp things that would sort of obstruct or not obstruct the flow and distribute it, he could change the amount of propulsion that was happening from the engine.
Oh my God. So yeah, he's just
so with these little servos connected to it, he was able to control the amount of flow coming out of this solid rocket. And that is so cool. He actually was able to land his solid rocket motored thing using this control technique. And I just thought that is so freaking really cool.
That's this is it.
And it's vectored. See, he's actually vectoring the thrust and controlling it with his thing.
He's got a nodulator.
You turn it into a broad, more stabilizing thrust versus a... this is really fucking sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was just like the best. Men and their hobbies, we are awesome. Yeah,
we are the best.
We are freaking
follow
awesome.
me or I will throttle you. Wasn't it BPS?
BPS.shorts.
.shorts, okay. My BPS shorts.
Solid rocket throttle control. So Skep, you know all these bandages. Oh, now we can't talk about that. We'll save that. We have to talk about wombats. Okay, a thing I did not know about wombats is that basically wombat butts are effectively armored. Did you... Okay, stupid thing. I'm being bombarded with crap now.
Right, exactly. And so you have to wade through this.
Let's see.
This guy looks like
so close.
Okay, there we go. All right. Wombat bums more than meets the eye. So, a wombat, when it's being attacked, of course, runs away. And you would think that the wombat's backside would be this soft, fuzzy thing because wombats are soft and fuzzy and fluffy. They're
kind of hard asses.
They're cute animals. Apparently, their ass is extremely armored. A wombat's backside is made up of 4 fused plates surrounded by cartilage, fat, skin, and fur, which is used to mate, excavate, and defend. In fact, using its exterior to block its burrow is one of its primary defense mechanisms, not only against predators, but also other wombats. So he can bury his head in his burrow, and then if something tries to sneak in and get at him, he can use his armored ass to crush its skull when it tries to get past him.
That is hilarious. Nature is just messes with us.
There are countless stories about fox and dingo skulls being found outside wombat burrows, prompting speculation that the wombat uses its big rump to crush predators.
Bite my shiny plated ass.
It's the Nicki Minaj of this sort of stuff. A wombat's butt is certainly tough enough to do this, and it is an important defense mechanism against attack. Wombats use their butt to block access to their burrows to unwanted guests, so it is a very hard butt would be, but the first thing a fox encounters if it ventured down a wombat's burrow. Yeah. So wombats have armored asses, and I had no idea about this until a few days ago.
There's no doubt in my mind that a wombat is strong enough. They are very strong. They in their paws, they can crush a fox's head. I mean, they could crush it like you would crush a Dixie cup. Seriously. They're enormously strong.
Yeah.
I can totally believe that they could take out like a little fox or, immature dog or something that came after them.
Yeah.
They snuff it.
And they have cube-shaped poop.
Which is impressive, yeah.
That is really the simulation, don't you think?
Yeah.
That's he's just going.
It's like Minecraft. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to watch this Minecraft movie functional. Did anybody want a Minecraft movie? I mean, I like Jack Black as much as the next person, maybe a little bit more. But my advice to anybody who wants to watch that Minecraft abomination is just rent Lego Batman again and watch something that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Because Lego Batman is awesome, and that new Minecraft movie is a thing that nobody wants. Yeah. Nobody wants to see that stupid movie. All right, one more thing.
Why is there going to be a Minecraft movie?
I don't know. Greed. One more thing.
Because the kids
on the way out to celebrate
the Minecraft.
To celebrate your special day.
Yay!
San Francisco Museum's cake picnic satisfies craving with nearly 1,400 concoctions. That is a lot of cake. Look at that cake. 1,400 different cakes. So hummingbird cake, get some. So
I'm not looking.
Basically, people could show up, They could buy something, they could make something, and they get a box, and everybody just gets to grab what they want and take it home. It's like a huge
an Oreo
cake.
mousse cake.
It's like a cake swap meet. And as much as I hate San Francisco sometimes, this is just pure wholesome goodness. A community cake swap meet.
Nice.
Oh, I love every part of this. Yep. That young lady is going to get some cake.
I mean,
that,
very good.
That just looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want to make a cake. Hey, Steve, she's got a cake hat. Yeah,
I wasn't so full of cake. Maybe this would hit a bit harder, but
I like it.
But in the abstract, this is great, right?
Absolutely.
Oh no, I want more
just
cake.
The principle, just from the standpoint, just from the principle, that's what makes it great.
Yeah, 1,400 cakes. Yeah.
And community.
Yeah, this is
community.
This is actually pretty damn wholesome. And honestly, Skep, you know how nice that weather is, right? You could just tell.
Yeah, I'm there right now. I'm feeling it.
It's a sunny spring day in San Francisco.
Just gentle breeze.
Yep. And cake.
And cake.
All right. Well,
one of the 3 universal languages. It's got 2 of them.
Do I get to say one thing at the end of the show?
Sure. Don't bring us down too much after we just looked at all that cake.
Not at all. Actually, I hope this is uplifting. I did want to thank the team that operated on me yesterday, Dr. Huerta, Julia, Tanisha, all the people there at the VA who took such amazing care of me yesterday. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say that in the show.
All right. Well, let's just leave it at that. Good night, everybody.